Hello, this video is going to show you how to use your copy of Attendance Master. When you open it up, it should look like this. Not very much on here. You're on the tab that says Add Classes. There's a little space here that says Paste Your First Class here, and then a button. So what we need to do is add all of our students. How we do this is we go over to eSchool, and we just go to the home screen so we can just see our rosters, and we'll click on the classes that we want to add the students. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, starting from the bottom right all the way up to the top left, all of the information. We want to make sure that we don't overdo it and bleed into here. We just want the student data. We'll do Control C, and we'll come here and we will click on Paste Your First Class here and do Control V. And we should get a table that looks like this, which is good. So we're going to go ahead and do this for all the rest of the classes. And that's a fairly simple process. We'll just go one at a time. I'll grab my advisory kids, and I will grab all the people. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go just below the last person and do Control V. And there's going to be a little space often. Sometimes there's not a space between the classes, but that's fine if there is. So I'm going to continue on and add all of the rest of my classes. And once I've added all of my classes, I've got them all, then I'm just going to go over to column A, and for the first instance of a student in that class, I'm going to designate the class period. So this would be second, and then down here is advisory, and then I've got third, fourth, and then these guys are my sixth period. Sixth period, and then I've got my seventh period kids. There we go. So I've got my classes in, and then on column A, in the first instance of a student, I just designated what the class period was. That's all I've got to do. Then the only other thing I have to do is click Format Students. So let's go ahead and click that. It's going to authorize, it's going to ask for authorization because it's running a script, and it has to be able to get to your drive and all that good stuff. So I hit OK. I say yes, that's my email. And then I'm going to say continue. And then the last thing I'm going to do is click allow. And usually that means that the code stopped, but this time it didn't. There we go. So it's doing its thing, and good. Now that's all done. So now my students are all formatted. That sheet, as you noticed, disappeared. It's hidden. And then the two sheets that we really care about are now here. We've got today and we've got our daily log. And these both have the identical list of students. So these start with second period, and then I've got advisory, third, fourth, sixth, and seventh. And all of these students have been changed and formatted from last name, comma, first, and whatever, to first name and last name and ID. We don't have to worry about any labels or anything here, okay? And then the similar thing is on the daily log. This does have period, first, last, and ID, because what's going to happen here is every day I'm going to get a log. It's going to be saved of all of the attendance for my kids. But most of the time, I'm just going to live right here. So now what we have to do to actually operate this is click on Open Attendance. And this is going to open up a little window. It's going to evaluate the classes that you have, and it's going to only let you utilize the classes that you actually have in your list. So I don't have a first or an eighth on here. That's athletics. So it gets rid of those, and it gives me the options for second, advisory, third, fourth, sixth, and seventh. Now, there's a little button here, this little guy. If I click this, if I get a new student, I can add the new student in here. So first name, last name, ID, and then I select the student's period. And then once I do that, it's going to give me a little submit button. When I click the submit button, that student will be automatically entered into both lists, both the today list and the daily log list. So right now I don't need to do that, but if you do get a new student, instead of going into the sheet to add somebody, just do it on here. That keeps everything consistent. So now all we have to do is click on our first period of the day. It's going to be second right here. And I've got all of my students, and I can do a couple things. If I don't have my scanner, I can just click them. So I'm going to click Rajay, click that person, and he automatically goes to the green box, which means present, and his button turns green, And then in the sheet, we have present. Now, let's say I made a mistake. Roger's not here. I can click him again. He goes back to red, and now he's absent. So I can do my attendance this way if I would like, and it's kind of a good way to do that if I don't have a scanner available. But otherwise, if I do, one of the things this program does is the cursor is almost always going to be active up here in student ID. And this is where you're going to capture a scan of a student's ID. So how I do that is fairly obvious. I just make sure that my cursor's here. And if you notice that your cursor is not up here in student ID, just click any of these boxes or just click on the actual period again. It'll reload it, and then it'll put that cursor correctly in there. And then all I have to do as the kids come in is just go ahead and scan their IDs. And there's one. There's another. And there's another, and I could keep on going and going and going and going. And so I would do this and scan them all. And so I could scan and essentially get all of the kids in. And if there's a few absent kids, then they're going to remain absent. There we go. And then I could go through all of my class periods throughout the day, and then I'll scan all of their IDs. And then at the end of the day, I just have to save this and export it. And by exporting, I mean you're going to just put everything on the daily log, and that's going to log it under today's date. And then tomorrow, you're ready to go with a fresh sheet. And then you can do that every day, and you're going to end up with a good record of all of the attendance for all of your kids. Now, I also wanted to show another thing as well. So if you are logged out of the box there, and then you click Open Attendance, what's going to happen is you're going to get your sheet here, basically your home sheet. And then once it reads all your classes, if I click second, this is going to evaluate who's present and who's absent. And so it basically has all the correct current data. So you don't have to redo anything. Now, at the very end of the day, when I've got all of my stuff in here, all I have to do is in the student ID, which the cursor is already there. I might have to click it and put the cursor there. All I have to do is click X twice. So very quickly, I'm going to go XX, and then that's it. And then I wait a second, and there we go. So if you may have noticed, all of these boxes turned to absent. So everything here in today is now absent. And if I refresh here for a second, all of these guys are absent now. And then if I do look at daily log, there we go. And I didn't put them all in for this demo, but there we go. So there's 11/21, that's today's date, and then here is my color-coded log. So then tomorrow, when I do this and I click XX, then it's going to save everything. It's going to put 11/22, and then it's going to color code all of the values here as well. And then that just basically keeps running. So you really don't have to do anything at all with these sheets. You don't have to update or enter in anything at all, with the exception of what you did when you very, very first set up your classes. Otherwise, everything you're going to do is right here. And that's basically all. Now there is another button here, the save button, and the save button will essentially reset your sheet also. If you don't want to just delete everything, you just save it, and it essentially does the same thing as clicking the XX. But it is better to click the XX because that evaluates the sheet as it currently is. So I hope this is a valuable tool for you. If you have any questions, send me an email and I will help you out.